heck is... Here we are, staring at actually the like, remember the like spinning wheel of death on the computer? Like sitting here waiting on Instagram for it to let me invite someone to join is basically like the computer spinning wheel of death. All right. We are trying to get Latanya on because we've got all kinds of juicy stuff to talk about today. And here we are, just hanging out, waiting for technology to work. Okay. I feel like I should tell a joke or something to give you some value while we wait. But I can't quite tell a joke. Oh, it says she's unable to join. Okay. We're gonna make this work, y'all. Okay, here we go. As I'm saying, I cannot tell a joke and try to push buttons on tech at the same time. Um, but there she is, so I don't have to try to tell a joke and push buttons at the same time
I love it.
because that's where we were headed.
Oh no, I saved the day. No, even though I know your jokes are amazing, but
I mean, I have one from my camp counselor days that are really, it's just not very good, but it's my go-to. So,
okay, I love to hear it.
what is big and green and hangs out in the corner?
Big green head on the corner. A frog. Yeah, no, I don't
The
know.
Incredible Sulk.
That's a good one.
But
But
that joke.
love it,
Yep.
love it. Yes. Well, thanks for bearing with me. Technology is having a Monday. It's having a case of the Mondays.
Totally.
So
Totally is. Okay, we're here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for us to be talking today.
yes, thanks for inviting me and jumping on your live because mine was not working for some reason. It was doing the same thing. It wasn't letting you in, which is so weird. But I'm super excited about our talk today,
Me
and
too.
yeah,
Yeah. So when we were chatting about this, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, you were sharing with me that you and Jackie and Trisha had done a live recently where y'all talked about a reset, right? A beginning of the year
yeah,
reset.
yes. So we talked about kind of like the reset and thrive, kind of like a holistic framework for business success. And I know as we were talking, we're like, okay, that's great, beginning of the year, let's do a business reset. But what happens when that momentum kind of falls off and that energy just kind of nosedives? So what do we do about that? And then we just kind of came up with this live, and I'm super excited to talk a little bit about that and just thinking about businesses, losing that steam after a few months of a reset. Why do you think that is? Just from your experience personally or your client, why do we think businesses kind of lose that steam after a few months?
I think it's hard to, I think sometimes we set expectations that don't match where we are. So I'm actually reading right now The Gap and the Gain. And it is such a great reminder of how when we want to measure, we need to look backwards and see how far we've come instead of comparing ourselves to an ideal moving forward. And so
Yeah,
I think that we have these big, audacious goals as business owners, right? Like we just do.
right.
And we don't necessarily like we just kind of think about the end game and we don't always put into place all of the pieces that we need to get there, the steps that we need to take. And so we get started, like we have this momentum, we get started, and it's hard to maintain because we aren't setting the rhythm, right? Like the
Right.
consistency to showing up and doing it. And so that is, I see that from a marketing perspective too. Like
Right.
I'm going to post 5 times a week on social media. And it's like, cool. But
Yeah.
if you've only posted once in the last month and you're trying to go to 5 times a week, like that's a big thing to jump to.
Right. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. I
yeah.
see that as well. And I always think for me and for my clients, really having that long-term strategy. So we do have, okay, we're going to get things done January, February, March, April, May. Okay, great. And we just do it by the months or either by 90 days. Okay, but what about going out a little further? And what are you going to do the entire year and breaking it up into steps that'll get you there to the end of the year? I think that's why sometimes, like you said, we have these big audacious goals and we're like, we are going to just take over the world in a year. And while that's great, yes, we probably can take over the world in a year, but we
Totally.
do
Totally.
need a long-term sustainable strategy to be able to do that and to not burn yourself out, because you don't want to burn yourself out while taking over the world. We need to keep that momentum up.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's one of the things that I talk about with my clients is like, okay, so we do this. I always use my hands for this, right? Like, so we zoom out
yeah,
and we look at the whole year. What does that look like? And then we do, like you're saying, like break it down into, okay, what does it look like per quarter? What are like the
right,
measurable things that we could do each quarter? And then let's go drill down into the quarter and say, okay, each month, what do we need to accomplish? Then we break that down even more. And it goes essentially where so I use the full focus planner, and it really is helpful kind of for this sort of start big and kind of bring it down small strategy.
yes,
But we're taking the goal and saying, okay, what pieces of this goal do we need to accomplish each month? And then each week, when I go to look at my week, I say, these are the big 3 things that I need to accomplish this week that are contributing to those goals. And so it's just breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down. And we do that from a marketing strategy perspective with clients as well, is where are we trying to go? How are we trying to show
right,
up? And how can we start small, right? I believe everybody should start
yes,
small. Because you
totally,
just snowball those wins, right? You need a little win and then a little win and then a little win. And then when you kind of big the gap in the game, you look back and go, holy moly, we just built a whole snowman
right,
with this snowball effect instead of, oh gosh, we just have all of this snow in front of us. And what are we trying to do? And how are we going to get there?
right, yeah.
So I would love for to pick your brain a little bit about how you take that, right? So we've got a big audacious goal. We've got this broken down and broken down and broken down all the way down. How do you suggest that business owners really get organized with their goals, so that they can leverage systems and not feel like they're either completely behind or totally drowning all the time?
Yeah. So as we look at, I like to start with your vision. So what is your overall vision for your business? What does that look like in the next year, in the next 3 years, in the next 10 years, if you want to go that deep? But let's look at the vision and then let's look at the goals to get you to that vision. So we look at the big picture. What do we want to do? Okay, let's say I want to make, I'm just making this up. I want to make 120K this year by December 31st. That's my vision for the year. Okay, so what are the things that we need to do to get you there? What are the things that you're doing now? I don't always suggest like starting from scratch. If you have something that's working for you right now, let's look at it and let's tweak it, because it may just need just a little bit of tweaking to get you to that bigger goal. So let's look at what you have now. Let's look at your client journey. What does that look like? How do people find you? How do your leads find you? How do you communicate with them? How do you book your calls? How do they contact you? Do they get in the DMs? Do they click a link and, you take them to a landing page? How does that look? So just really looking at the bigger vision, looking at what you have already, and then making those tweaks. and start breaking them down into smaller pieces. So let's say your client journey does need a little tweaking. Okay, let's map out. I love mapping. Writing out what that looks like. So all the way from when, your potential client looks for you or is looking for you, all the way to when they're working with you, and even a little bit beyond offboarding. A lot of people forget about offboarding. You have to, have that as a system as well. Your offboarding process, your onboarding process, your content creation process. I mean, in systems, you have to have all of those. So that's really what I encourage them to do. Let's look what you have, look at the bigger vision, look what you have, tweak it, map it out, and then we start breaking it down into actionable steps. Okay, it looks like your marketing strategy. It looks like that's not quite getting where you want to be. So let's look and see what's working, what's not working, tweak it, and then put those actionable steps to that.
Okay, so you said that you love mapping, and I
I love
love mapping. And I use my iPad to draw all the
Yes,
time with different things. What do you, because you are mostly virtual with clients, right? You're
I
not in
am.
person.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you use to map with clients? I love
Honest,
talking tech.
yes. So honestly, Zoom. Zoom
Okay.
has a whiteboard that you can pull up. You can share your screen, and you can just back and forth. You can give them a chance to annotate, and you can just annotate. Okay, they also have like little boxes, and they have just little fun things that you can use, the arrows and boxes and squiggly lines, and you can just get on Zoom together, pull up that whiteboard, and just start mapping, going from one piece to the next piece to the next piece. It is so simple and so easy. I'm not talking about, grabbing a spreadsheet, or even though I love spreadsheets, but when you're really wanting to get your thoughts and ideas and actual looking at the journey to be able to put the systems in place, it's really helpful to be able to tangibly see things. So I'm a visual person, as most of us I think are. So it's really nice to just have that whiteboard up. They're drawing and putting things together. I'm drawing and putting things together, and we're actually working together to be able to make that system work for them.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to jump into talking about a tech stack, and you were like, nope,
Yeah.
just Zoom whiteboard.
Yeah,
Cool.
just the
So
whiteboard. Yeah.
is that something that comes up for you a lot where people are like, well, I have all these tools, I have all this tech. Okay, tell me
Yes.
more about this. What are you seeing that people are buying and using, or buying and not using?
Yeah. So a lot of things that people are honestly buying and not using has been things like Zapier. I love Zapier. I really do. But if you have an all-in-one system like Go High Level or FEA Create, FG Funnels, you really don't need Zapier. So I always recommend that you do more of a bigger all-in-one system. That you can use Zoom, you can use ConvertKit. I think it's called Kit now. I think it's something different. They have their own. You don't have to use Calendly or Google. I think it's Google Calendar. You can actually just use your all-in-one system. It has everything. It has the appointment setting. It has the email marketing. It even does like social media. A lot of the all-in-ones do social media. So I'm seeing more people going to that all-in-one type systems instead of like, Zapier and putting things together. I call it duct taping.
Yes,
Duct taping systems together, which
totally.
eventually will not work. Eventually it won't work. Things are going to break. I've seen it in many clients. Things break, the links break, things don't work. They don't talk to each other. Someone may change their system and then the other system doesn't talk to them. And then you end up moving things to either another system or all in one system anyway. So
So how, what would you say is a good indicator for people when they know it's time? Because like when it's time to go to an all-in-one system, right? Like I don't know
right.
that anybody has started a business. Well, let me just speak for myself. Let me
Yeah,
not
okay.
speak for someone else. When I started my
Right.
business,
Yes.
I could not even fathom thinking about an all-in-one
Yeah.
system, right? Like I took a little bit at a time, like what am I ready for now? What am I ready for
Right.
now? So what are some of the signs that you see when somebody's ready for like, okay, you're gonna have to like take a big gulp and
Right.
say it's going to be fine. There's a little messy middle that's about to happen, but I'm ready for a transition to something like go high level or a full system. What does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yes. So you're gonna have to put on your big girl panties, as I like to say, and just
Totally.
jump all in. And really, that looks like you doing repetitive tasks. If you are sending emails out to your clients, if you are, the Stripe link, you're sending that out. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't remember if that person paid. I don't remember if I booked a call with, my new client. Oh my gosh, where are all my files? Where is everything? That's when you know it's time to jump into an all-in-one system. When you are up at night thinking, 2 o'clock in the morning, which I do this sometimes too. I speak for myself. I do this sometimes. Oh my gosh, I forgot to send that email. Or, oh my gosh, did that person pay? Or, oh my gosh, where are all my documented SOPs? Where are my contracts? Where are all these things? Then you know it's time to get into an all-in-one system. If you're just doing those things over and over and over again, you're not focusing on your client. You're more focusing on your back end and making sure that looks good. It's time. It's definitely time. You're just gonna have to take a deep breath and do it.
Okay, so I mentioned I'm reading The Gap in a Gain, and
Yeah.
as you were talking, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is an incredible gain opportunity for me because I used to have those moments of like, I don't even remember where I saved that or what did I name that file?" And I'd spend like 20 minutes, right? Let's be honest,
Looking for the
sometimes
five.
longer,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, yeah, did I save it on Google Drive? Did I save it on Dropbox? Did
Yeah.
I save it in my iCloud? Where did it come from? Where did it go? What did I title? Gosh, what did I title things? God bless
Oh,
America. I could never remember, right?
no, no.
And so I just feel like I have to sit, and since I know you'll appreciate this, I just have to sit in this game for a minute and be like, I've come there. Like, are my systems perfect in this moment? No, they're
No.
definitely not.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought that in a really long time. So here I am
Right.
celebrating, sitting in the game. I need to write it on my
Yeah.
celebrations for the day,
Love it.
because that is gripping.
Yeah.
Where, and
It
it's
is.
like you're just sitting in that like I just wasted 40 minutes searching for this document. And then you're like, should I have just have recreated it to begin with? And then it's like
Yeah.
I would go in this spiral, this
Yeah.
like shame spiral of can't I just get it together? Like, come on, it's one document. Why couldn't I name it the right thing? Or like remember what I named it? And it just, oh, it's icky.
It's icky.
It's
It's an
so icky.
icky feeling. And then now you're thrown off. Now you're laying in bed trying to figure out what I do with it. Now you're up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, I have to find it. I have to go in there and find it. And now 40 minutes have gone by. I can't find it. What did I name it? I'm really bad at that sometimes. What did I name it? What did I title that document that I've been looking for? And it steals your joy, honestly, in my experience and in my clients' experience. They're like, I don't want to do this. I didn't, start my own business to be an admin or, a secretary and have to, try to find some of this stuff and find the documents and find these things. That's not why I started my business. I started my business because I want to support my clients and do, what's best for them and support them. So I can totally relate. I
I
can
just
totally
want to show up and
relate.
do the fun stuff.
Right. I just want to do the fun stuff. Forget all that other stuff.
Nobody needs books
You
or organized things.
don't need that.
We stuff we do. We need it all in the background,
You really,
just not keeping us up at night.
you really do. You really do. And finding a space and a place like an all-in-one system would be the perfect opportunity to get yourself organized, have everything in one spot so you can go straight to it. And you don't have to have all those thoughts at 2 o'clock in the morning or spending, your morning drinking coffee looking for one document. So,
Right. Right. No
yeah,
shame. If that is happening
no
right now,
shame.
I feel like I'm like beating my former self
No
up.
shame.
No shame. It
No shame.
happens. Everybody goes through that. Those are the
Everybody goes through it.
signs that you need to call Latanya
Yeah,
and say, I'm feeling the feels and I don't want to be awake in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I'm feeling the feels, or even I want to scale, I want to take on more responsibilities, but I have all this stuff that is just, it's unorganized. I can't find anything, but I know that it has to be taken care of. This back piece has to be taken care of before I take on more responsibility, before I take on more clients. I might want to build a team. How can I be unorganized when I'm trying to build a team? Well, you can, but it's going to be darn hard to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So what are you seeing right now? I feel like, well, maybe not. Let me preface and then ask a question. What I have noticed the last couple of months is, okay, we're like halfway through February, right? So January was slow, so
Yeah.
slow.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
had a client who was in retail,
Okay.
and she told me that the J months are the slowest months, January, June, and July.
Okay.
And she told me that, and I was like, you're so right. And every year it validates more and more.
Yeah.
So January was slow, right?
Mhm.
People are catching up,
Right.
they're, paying off Christmas stuff,
Right.
all the things. But I am seeing things with my clients. I'm seeing February start to pick up. Are you noticing that as well?
Yes. So January was very slow. And I don't know if it's just, like you said, people are paying things off, getting ready for tax season, April, trying to organize and find all their stuff that they can't find, and just trying to prep and prepare. But January has been really slow. February is starting to pick up a little bit more. I have a client now, actually, who she's a life coach and yoga instructor, and she has started to see things pick up. January was super slow for her. She was actually going to do a challenge, and she ended up not doing it because it wasn't very well attended. People didn't click on the link a lot. So, but she's starting to notice February, people are starting to reach out a lot more. So it's starting to pick up. Mhm. And hopefully it will continue to pick up. But I never heard that the J months
Months are slow.
are
Yep.
slow. Okay. I'm gonna have to
J
start paying attention
months.
to that. Mhm.
Yes. So I use that from a marketing strategy perspective. I use that as a time for my clients to really invest in themselves and in their businesses. So in January, let's not set any expectations
Right.
for making, record-breaking months or anything like that. Let's hunker down. It's cold, right?
Oh,
Pretty much no matter where
mhm.
you live, it's cold,
Right.
it's dark early, it's dark
Mhm.
late, all the things.
Yeah.
So let's really focus on building the infrastructure. Um, and in June and July, same thing. It's
Yeah.
hot. People
It's
don't want to spend money when they're hot and sticky. It's a
right.
funny, funny thing.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like you're standing at my door to swipe your card to pay to do service with me, right? Like
Right.
people still just don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
Plus, kids are home from school, you're
Right.
going on vacation. There are all
Right.
kinds of
All
psychological
the
factors.
things. Yeah.
But um, all that to say, I think it's a great opportunity for people to invest, right,
Yeah.
in themselves, in their business, and doing the things they need. So, so people come out the gate in
Right.
January, really ready for that, right? You've got dry January, you've got gyms running specials,
Right.
to free joining, what have you.
Right.
Um, and then, like we talked about a little while ago, like, okay, so you come out the gate and then it's like February starts to hit and then
Right.
it gets extra cold in February, right? But
Mhm.
we are talking about
Right.
things picking up. So what would you say are a couple of from a logistical perspective, what are some small things, some small wins people could have or put in place or do right now to help move their business forward, like keeping things running, keeping that momentum of the goals that they set in January? What small things can they take away right now?
Yeah, I think the one of the biggest things that they can take away right now, especially since things are kind of slower, are doing your SOPs, so your standard operating processes. So documenting your processes, documenting your client journey, documenting your payment strategy, documenting your marketing and lead generation strategy. Right now would be a really good time to just jot those things down and wherever you like to keep them if you like to keep them in a Google Doc or a Word doc and put them into your all-in-one system. That'd be a great idea to do. But I think that's super important right now to do since things are slow for you to definitely get those things documented.
Okay. And for someone like me who's like, oh yeah, documenting my systems. It's been on my to-do list for about 5.5
Right.
years. Help me get
Yes.
excited about this, Latanya. What can I do so that I actually hang up today? Well, not tonight and
Not
do
tonight.
it, but hang up today feeling like, okay, I actually can do this. What advice do you have for that kind of for people who are like, that is not going to bring me joy, even though I know I need to do it?
Yeah. So for me, documenting processes doesn't have to be boring. So when I say that, some people like to write it out. Some people like to actually get on camera and talk it out. So you can actually talk out, record yourself talking, and put it into a file. That way you have an SOP of my client journey. This is what it looks like. Some people like to screen share, they like to get in and make it fun, put music to it, make it fun, make it creative. SOPs doesn't just have to be just writing them out like a handbook. There are so many
Okay.
different ways that you can do it. And I think my favorite is actually getting on Loom and just going through my system and saying, okay, this is where people find me. This is how they find me. This is the next step for them. This is, X, Y, and Z, and keep going down. So make it fun. That's my biggest advice. Do what makes you happy and make it fun.
You heard it here, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen. Make your SOPs creative and fun.
absolutely.
Not words that I thought would come out of my mouth tonight. I'm thrilled that they did. Um, okay, so you said something about, okay, so you talked about putting them on Loom. I love a good Loom
Okay.
video. Um,
Yeah.
and thinking about trying not to like totally overwhelm with tech stack. Loom has a free
Yeah.
version. There is a free version for
Yeah.
everyone to know. And with the free version, I think you're limited to like 20 videos in your library.
Yeah.
I won't
Another like
publish
5 minutes.
live in case I get in trouble, but I'll tell you how I get around the 20 thing, right? But here's what I learned when I was on the free Loom subscription, other than the thing that I won't tell you here. You can send me a DM for that. 5 minutes in some cases does not seem like a long time.
No, it doesn't.
In some cases, it does. Now, if you're trying to create content, right,
Right.
and you gotta like go live or something, or you need to create content and you're like, I need to record a 5 minute video, that for most people, it's like, oh my gosh, 5 minutes, what am I gonna say for 5 minutes? Okay, not obviously not an issue for me, but
Mhm.
5 minutes on Loom, if you're trying to explain, can feel really limiting and restricting. Like
Mhm.
I go down rabbit holes and things like that. I found that when I was on the free Loom plan and had to stick to 5 minutes, it made me so much more concise. Um,
Yeah.
I would start and I'd get
Mhm.
close to the limit and be like, I haven't even gotten into the things yet. I've just been like introducing and warming up. So I'd have to click the restart button, which it's so graceful, right? You don't even have
It
to
is.
stop
It
and
really is.
delete and start
Mhm.
a new one. You just click the restart button for people like
Right.
me.
Mhm.
Um, and and so I found that I was being much more concise. I would be really thoughtful ahead of time. Like, what am I going to say? Here are the three
Right.
points that I want to
Mhm.
make. Here's kind of the thing. And then it would help give me direction
Yeah.
and purpose.
Yeah.
And that trickles
Mhm.
across what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? That
Absolutely.
I feel like it helps with your marketing content. It helps with your emails. And so I just wanted to call that out. I think Loom is a really cool tool and it does have fun little effects that you can add to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could add music, though I've never tried that fun
Yeah.
feature. Um,
Yeah. It'll be fun.
okay, so we're all gonna go get on Loom
Right.
and create some SOPs.
Create some SOPs. Start with the smallest one. Start with um, you can do like your mission, values, and goals. Something that is dear to your heart and you're passionate about. So, start with that.
Okay.
Make it fun.
And then once you say, oh, that wasn't too bad and it didn't take very long, so I'm going to record another one or I'm going to do another one and another one, and then you have five or six. Um, can we talk about filing and organizing? What do we do with those once we get these? Uh, I'm gonna turn on Do Not Disturb. This is getting a little obnoxious here. Um,
The joys
okay,
of doing
so
it, doing things on your phone. Yeah.
yes. Okay, so we've got at least five videos and they're
Yes.
hanging out in Google Drive. Now what, Latanya? What do we do to start organizing them and keeping them in a good system?
Yes. So since we are in Google Drive, I actually have a template that my clients use that is a spreadsheet, and you can put different links in the spreadsheet. So it'll be what the SOP is, the title, the date, and then you can actually put a link to your link in the spreadsheet. And that way you'll have this huge spreadsheet of your SOPs, one document that you can just go straight to. I also like to put links if I'm doing writing. Sometimes I write out my SOPs too. So you can also actually put that link into the spreadsheet as well and just keep everything in one document. It is so helpful to have those. So that way you're not looking for, where's that video, and that put it all in a spreadsheet.
Okay, like a master
Like a
document.
master document, master spreadsheet.
Okay, so I have a master spreadsheet that's turned into a beast. That's all of my content. So when I started
Okay.
recording content and creating content, I would record videos, and in the
Mhm.
squirrel brain,
Yeah.
sometimes that I would have, I would record videos that I already had recorded. Like I'd have a topic in mind, and I wouldn't remember that I did it. And thinking about, so I love promoting recycled
Mhm.
content, right? Like you do
Yeah.
not have to sit in front of your phone or on social every single day and come up with something new. Like, oh my gosh, please don't.
Please
That
don't.
just sounds soul sucking and life draining.
Yeah.
So, but how do you keep up with it all, right? So I created this big kahuna of a spreadsheet,
Okay.
and
The
it's
master.
got yeah, my master thing. It's got multiple tabs at the
Mhm.
bottom. So I've got one for blog posts, I have one for videos, I have one for photos, and
Okay.
the video one is the most
Yeah.
robust. Um,
Okay.
and so it's got across the top, right? So these columns, I've got a column that's for my content pillars. So if people use
Okay.
content pillars for creating content, I've got that so I can sort by content pillar. Then there's a column for the actual topic of the video, like what it is that I'm talking about. Then I've got one for like an official title, like a real title or
Okay.
something. If I, post on YouTube, then I've got a link to where the raw video is
Okay.
in my Google Drive. Then there's a column for where you can find it out in the wild. So usually a
Mhm.
YouTube link, right? I mean, out in the wild, in the wild of YouTube. Um, or if it's on if it's a reel or something like that. And then I put the date, the most recent date that I used it, so that I know when I'm
Right.
going through and content repurposing when I used it. And then there's one other column that I feel like is really critical that I use a lot, and I can't think of what it is now. If anybody's interested in seeing this, like I have a kind of like you have for your clients, like
Yeah.
I've got a version. I'm happy to send a template for anybody that wants to just shoot me a DM and ask for it.
Yeah.
um but that allows me, so it just allows me to keep organized and be able to be
Mhm.
putting content out on a regular basis, because, you gotta show up sometimes for people to, get to know you, like you, trust you, do business with you.
Right.
And most of the people that I work with are too busy to like sit, they don't have a full-time content creator or
Right.
marketing person. They have a hard time sitting down for a long time to
Yeah.
create content. And so this is having that master big kahuna document is
Mhm.
really, really helpful. And so now I'm starting to see, thinking about having that for an SOP, and like thinking of
Okay.
all of the trickles of having master
Right.
spreadsheets for all kinds of things in my business.
Yes, absolutely. And it could just be just as simple as that, just a master spreadsheet. You don't have to get fancy with your systems, and it could just be a a master spreadsheet for that type of, SOP or content, or it could just be that basic, that simple.
Okay. Okay. So I
I
this has
love
been
that.
coming up a lot lately, and so I'm sharing it because it means something for a lot of people, I think. I'm seeing a lot of overcomplication, right?
Yeah.
Like, I should do this. I heard that I'm supposed to do that. There's all this stuff with TikTok and all the
Mhm.
videos and the algorithm and blah blah
So,
blah. And now you can like all the
right.
things. So, what I'm talking to my clients about is that your marketing doesn't have to be complicated. Okay, so you don't need all of these complex things. You don't
Mhm.
need a huge tech stack. You don't need to spend all
Right.
of the money. You just need to show up and authentically be you and
Right.
provide value to your target
Right.
audience. And that's going to resonate and reflect with them. So I would love to hear from you. What are some of the traps that you find your clients getting into? Like, what are the things that they are overcomplicating in their business that's probably causing them like stress and anxiety and fear that's completely unnecessary?
Yeah. So the biggest one is the client journey. They think they have to do a strategy for a person that's like, okay, this person did it just like this, so I have to do it too. And it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Because your business is different than theirs. You don't have to overcomplicate. You don't need like 15 million landing pages, 15 million links, and you don't need all of that. What you need is just a simplified client journey, where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, how can they work with you. So those are my top big three. And then we need to look at, especially that systemizing piece, the onboarding. So once they sign the dotted line, or contract or agreement, then let's get into the systems piece of it. Let's make sure they get their onboarding email. Let's make sure they get their contracts, their first invoices. When do they need their invoice? How often are they paying? If they're paying through like a payment schedule. How often are you going to have a call with them? If you're doing group, how often are you doing the groups? Make sure those links are getting to the right people. If they have portals, those types of things. I'm seeing people kind of overcomplicate. They go from the client journey, they want to do all those systemized things in the client journey. And you don't necessarily need that unless you have like 15 offers, which you probably don't need 15 offers. One or two would suffice. But I'm really seeing people overcomplicate after that client journey. Like they try to get it really complicated in the client journey. Instead, they should be looking at that systems piece. That's where it should get a little bit more complicated, just because we're dealing with systems. And systems can be complicated.
So, would you say that people are um, how do I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it. Um, they're trying to professionalize like
That's a good
to
word
a
for it.
level of like too much.
Yeah.
Is that what it sounds like you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay.
Yeah, so they're trying to take the whole process of, okay, I have to get all these clients, and my client journey has to be, like Tony Robbins type. I don't even know to that point. No, you don't need to be, that big, as long as you're providing, like you're saying, your content of value to your audience, and they know how to get in touch with you, they know how to, work with you. That part should be simple, but people are overcomplicating it. I have to get my landing page. It has to be perfect before I even put it out there. No, it doesn't. You probably don't even need a landing page. Let's look at it and see. So they are trying to overcomplicate that. And what's the word? Everything has to be perfect in that client journey before they can kind of, okay, here it is to the world. Here it
Right.
is. They need all the links. They need all the pretty things.
Yeah. Well, Amy Porterfield has 47 steps and everything is lined out perfectly and beautifully and it matched and it has all the things. So naturally, I think we sometimes compare ourselves and feel like
Yep.
maybe we need to also. But I love that you are giving permission for that to not be the case, to just show
Yep.
up, make it as simple as possible for your people. That's a something I see a lot of times from a marketing perspective is we're thinking about what we want them to
Right.
know and not thinking about what it's like for them. And
Yeah.
people appreciate simple.
Yeah.
So there it is. We've got permission to take a deep breath,
Yes.
permission to keep things simple, and something about making protocols and processes that's so simple and so easy that none of us can say no to doing that in the
That's right.
next couple of weeks as we look at continuing that traction from our business and building on the next, what do we have, 10 and a half months in the year.
Almost. February is a short month, so
Right. Right, right. So still plenty of time. So
yeah.
much amazing thing so many amazing things we can do as business
Right.
owners.
Yeah.
Any last words of parting advice for everyone as we think about how to keep that traction going from starting out the gate strong in January and February?
Yeah, just knowing that, being a business owner, it's a marathon. It's not a race. So just take it day by day, week by week, and just have that momentum build off of each other.
Love that. I love snowballing. I
Yeah.
love small wins. And I think that as long as you show up as the CEO of your business for at least 10 minutes a day, I think you can make really big strides and really build some consistency and momentum to where all of a sudden you have CEO days
Right.
and CEO weeks where you're really just getting to do what we talked about, which is show up and do the fun stuff and all of the other things that you didn't start your business to do, but you have to, can just fall into place for you.
Yeah. And it will fall into place.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I love that we can impart some wisdom for everyone. And um, I think we both mentioned some juicy nuggets and some
Yeah.
resources that we've got. So feel free to shoot us both a DM if you want access to that stuff, templates and things like that. We are here to make your lives better as business owners. So thanks everybody for tuning in tonight.
Right. And thanks, Danielle, for hosting, and everyone have a wonderful rest of your week.
Everyone.
Bye.